I started drinking when I was 13, and it was in my best childhood friend's garden. She had a trampoline, and we could put over this tent. So we had built this tent on top of the trampoline so we could be doing this secretive thing that we hadn't told our parents about. I would smoke and I would be drinking. And I even had times, like little seasons of my life, where I would smoke even if I wasn't drinking. We'd gone into the city to party. Afterwards, we'd gone to a friend's home to continue drinking. And I had fallen asleep in my friend's room. And someone who I did not know had come into the room and sexually abused me. And I remember just how traumatic an experience that was. Like, I would shower and cry for hours the next day and just feel terrible in my body for like years to come.
Hi, my name is Pernilla, and this is my Challenge Your Norm podcast. I'm absolutely obsessed with anything related to personal development, and well, to grow, we gotta challenge our norm. And so on this podcast, we chat about life and how we can challenge our normal way of living it to make it greater than we could have ever imagined. Just one little belief, habit, bold move, and challenge at a time.
Hello, my beautiful friend, and welcome back to another episode here on my Challenge Your Norm podcast, where today I want to speak with you about my not drinking alcohol and quitting, even having the desire to drink. And I'm someone who started drinking alcohol when I was 13 years old. Alcohol is a very normal thing for teenagers to drink in Denmark, which is where I'm from. And I certainly did that a lot for many years. Today, I'm 29 years old. And I have not been living that lifestyle for many years. And I want to kind of share with you some parts of my journey and how it has helped me and why I no longer drink. Because recently, I have come across a few videos of people sharing how their quitting of drinking has completely changed their life. And that is what it did for me as well. As in, it was one of the things that helped me shift into creating a life that I feel is so aligned with who I want to be and what I want to do. And I've also worked with a lot of people recently who, at the beginning of their, let's call it fitness journey, because a lot of people who come to me at first, it's because they want to get in shape, but then they realize that it just compound effects into so many other different areas of their life when they get in shape. That's what I talk about so much, as well as what it did for me when I got in badass shape. It just really helped me develop this next level confidence and belief in myself, which then allowed me to take action on these other things in life that I wanted. And these people who I get to work with, something that they share is that they kind of want to quit drinking, but it feels like such a drastic change, such a hard shift to make, because it is their norm to just either drink wine every night, or for some, it's every weekend, going out with friends or just with their partners at home, they will have alcohol. And that will be a part of their relaxation and part of just clearing their stress that they have been holding on to throughout the week. And I get that. I really get that, because that was part of why I used to drink so much. And I want to go through my story when it comes to alcohol. And I had this feeling that I needed to share this right now. And I don't know why, but I have this belief that we as humans are connected. And I every day ask myself, okay, this is going to be woo-woo. What a way to start an episode about alcohol. But like, I ask the universe, God, my angels, whatever you believe in, but I ask them to use me. I got this prayer from Gabrielle Bernstein. What will you have me do today? Where will you have me go? What will you have me say? And to whom? And sometimes I'll ask them to write through me, and some messages will come in my journaling. And sometimes I'll just get these little nudges of things that I have to do. And it doesn't always make sense to me in the moment, but I believe that when I open myself up to receive guidance in the wanting to have it work through me, that it's because someone out there needs to hear this message today. So I have a feeling that maybe there's someone out there that needed to hear this to make a shift in their life and have that be the beginning of some sort of incredible transformation, whatever that is. So I started drinking when I was 13. I believe I was 13. I don't think I was 12, but something in me isn't fully sure. But let's just say 13 because that for certain I know that I was 13. And it was in my best childhood friend's garden. She had a trampoline and we could put over this tent. So we had built this tent on top of the trampoline so we could be doing this secretive thing that we hadn't told our parents about. And we were about, I think, like 8 or 10 girlfriends from our class. And we had bought, I think, her older sister had gone and bought some like pretty intense alcohol. And we'd planned this night out that we were gonna sit in this tent and try drinking alcohol for the first time. And I remember being scared, but it was like a part of this group thing that we had planned out. So I had a little bit, but I don't remember getting too drunk or anything. But it started becoming the norm. And every weekend we would drink with our classmates and the people from our year in the school. And it was an every weekend thing. And I was a very insecure teenager. On the outside, I've always been like the nice girl. But during my teenage years, I think on the outside, I developed a little like, I don't care vibe as like a mask to not show my insecurities. But then the inside, I was doubting myself constantly and second guessing myself. I've talked about this before on my podcast, how I would lay in bed at night and not be able to fall asleep because I would go through the entire day and think about all of the things that I had done that weren't good enough or that someone could have misunderstood or misinterpreted from something that I said. And I would be so hard on myself as to not having been good enough. And I think that when I started drinking alcohol, more of that YOLO personality came out and it felt really good in the moment, like to just be not insecure at all, feel more funny, feel more outgoing because I also had a shy side to me. But then the day after, just being just full of regret and 10xing that feeling of, oh my God, Pernilla, you said this and you did this wrong. Just like anxiety of how I had gone about that night. And I don't think I probably did anything wrong. As in, like, I didn't say anything that would offend anyone or do anything like crazy terrible, other than the stories that I'm about to share with you. Like what actually came from sometimes me drinking in this way, because I think people who follow me now are going to be surprised by the things that I did, because I was a really nice girl, but I also in my teenage years had this like rebel thing. Even though I was a nice kid, I did certain things that I think people wouldn't have expected me to. One of which was in Denmark. It was, I think it still is, kind of normal for teenagers to smoke. So I would smoke and I would be drinking. And I even had times, like little seasons of my life where I would smoke even if I wasn't drinking, like cigarettes. I wasn't smoking weed because that's not, I mean, some people did smoke weed, I think, in Denmark, but it wasn't as big as smoking cigarettes, where here in America, I feel like it's more normal to smoke weed than it is to smoke cigarettes. But yeah, I would smoke cigarettes and I would get blackout drunk sometimes, a lot of the times. I have even shared here on my podcast previously about a sexual abuse experience. I was at a after party. We'd gone into the city to party, and then afterwards we'd gone to a friend's home to continue drinking, and I had fallen asleep in my friend's room. And someone who I did not know had come into the room and sexually abused me. And I remember just how traumatic an experience that was. Like I would shower and cry for hours the next day and just feel terrible in my body for like years to come. And then I kind of forgot about that experience because it was such an intense, miserable experience that one day in America, years later, I was watching this TV show and there was this woman who was sexually abused, and suddenly like this whole experience that I'd gone through came up again, and my brain had kind of forgotten about it. It's this thing that when we go through traumatic experiences, then we kind of, our brain, it's so uncomfortable that our brain forgets about it. But if I hadn't drank, obviously that wouldn't have happened. I was blackout drunk, and I just remember waking up and this person doing very miserable things to me, which that wouldn't have happened if I had been drinking. It's really scary for me to share all of these things, but like I said, I have this feeling that someone needs to hear this. So I'm just gonna share. But I one time remember that I'd gone to some party, like I was like maybe 15 or something, 14 maybe even. I don't know. No, I don't know. Like my parents don't even know this. In Denmark, it's like you partied late. So it was like a couple of hours till the sun would come up, and I had to teach dance to children at like 9 a.m. in the morning on Saturday morning. I taught dance for many, many years. And I was a great dance teacher. Like, even though I'd been drinking the night before, I would show up and I would be professional. I would be an incredible dance teacher. But what I did that night was, instead of going home, because we lived pretty far away from where I had gone to the party, which was close to where I was teaching dance in the morning, instead of taking the bus home to sleep, I slept in the bus while it just went round in circles in Denmark. It like goes round in circles. And then after a couple of hours, having slept in the bus, I then got off at the stop where I was going to be teaching dance that morning, which is just wild to me to think about. Like, yeah. So drank a lot in my teenage years, like in middle school, through high school. And then I remember that when I got to dance and feel fulfilled in my dancing, I would not want to go out at night. And I would still sometimes do it to fit in and be a part of this high school group where I had my friends. But like when we had a lot of dance competitions in dance, like hangout sessions, and dance was a big thing. I just remember how much I just wanted to hang out with my dance group because we had this thing in common, which was like where we could create and share this shared passion. And I remember feeling that intense passion made me slowly want to not go out and drink in the weekends anymore as much, but I would still do it, not to the extent that I had done, but I would still do it to like sometimes have that sense of community with my high school friends. But when I read my first self-development book at the last year of high school, I've shared about this before on my podcast as well. In the last year of my high school, in the winter, I went to Australia to visit my dad, which is where he lives. And I read my first self-development book because my dad was like, you should read this. And I was like, rebel, being like, I already know self-development, Dad. Like, I don't need to read that. But I read it and it shifted something within me. It taught me about how you can set a goal, and by simply setting the goal, and little by little learning to love yourself, just using different self-love tools and goal setting tools, you can actually achieve them. And it was the first time where I completely shifted my grades. Like, they increased like crazy in the last half year of high school. And I just got committed to both exercising and eating healthier, and in like a subtle way. Like, I didn't know anything about food, but little slight changes, like also really being more effortful in my homework, everything just kind of shifted. And I remember in that last half year of high school, I kind of stopped drinking again because I got really excited about my goals. And that's also when I decided that I, after high school, wanted to move to Copenhagen to take a dance education. And when I was living in Copenhagen, I barely drank at all, because that year, once again, I was excited and committed about dance and getting better. And I did get a lot better that year. And I was just passionate about leveling up. And after Copenhagen, I still would drink a little bit, but very, very, very little, actually. I don't know how many times that year I drank, but it was very little. And then I saved up that year as well. I was working a lot on top of also taking the dance education. I've always been like a hard worker, I feel like. I feel like it's the norm in Denmark. People just work really freaking hard. They hustle, but it's not unnatural. Like, it's just how it is. After that year, I moved to Los Angeles. And once again, this time when I came to LA, I didn't just drink every weekend. I drank like every second night. I was partying hard, YOLOing, until I read my second self-development book, The School of Greatness. And once again, I set goals and I saw them come true. It was wild. And because I developed that inner passion, that excitement for achieving these goals, I stopped drinking once again. Like, I would still do it sometimes a little bit, but it stopped being like my regular norm. So then it got less, and I would still drink maybe once a week or something, until the time, few years later, when I really got committed to getting in badass shape. And again, my passion for what I wanted was stronger than wanting to have fun in that sense. Because to me, now that I'm not drinking, I have the most fun life, the best life ever. Like, it's funny because my life feels so good when I'm living in discipline and just living in alignment with what it is that I deep down want. I talk about this so much, but that's to me what's like for real fun, because what I experienced when I would be drinking is that I would maybe have fun in the moment, but the day after I would fall off track with the things that I had set my mind out to do. I would be more tired, more lazy, less willing to move in the direction of the life that I deep down want. And yes, sometimes it felt good to just be like YOLOing, but I've always felt best when I've lived in alignment with what it is that I deep down want. And for some people, what they deep down want is having that drink in the weekends because it feels so damn good. And there is nothing wrong with that. If it adds value to your life, keep doing you. Like, I speak about this so much of how there's no right or wrong way to live your life. The only thing that matters is that you live in alignment with what it is that you deep down want. So if having alcohol is a part of that for you, keep doing it. Keep doing whatever makes you happy. This is only sharing for those who potentially have had this urge, this desire to try and let go of it for a little while. I haven't even shared my whole thought behind this, sharing this soberness journey, which is that I thought sharing this episode right before November starts, or like maybe, you've gone wild on Halloween and you're like, I want a month of November without drinking. I just want to give it a try. And yes, it's about to be the holiday season. And I know that a lot of people drink with their families and that may be hard, but take it from someone who has an entire family that drinks, who have just now accepted and learned that Pernilla doesn't drink. So at the beginning, it was like, come on, have a drink for fun. And I found it fun because I was just like, no. No, like I was just so clear in my no that now they don't even ask me anymore because they just know I don't want to drink. So if you feel called to give it a try because you want to really spend this month committing to whatever it is that you're working towards right now, whether it be just waking up in the weekends, feeling so energized and good from having good sleep, because as we know, like alcohol also affects our sleep, and just continue that good momentum flow, or it's because you want to get in badass shape, or you want to work on your side hustle, whatever it is that you feel that this could potentially give you, then I just want to be here to support you. And I actually thought in my November transformation challenge, I'm going to create a little group for those people who want to not drink alcohol and feel supported in that journey. Make a little group for those who are committed to make that change just for November. You don't have to do that if you join the November Transformation Challenge, but I just want to support those who want to give this non-alcohol thing a try. So yeah, if you feel called to join my November challenge, or you maybe already have, just know that if quitting alcohol is something that you want, but you find it really hard and challenging, and how are you going to stand up to yourself when it comes to your relationships and friends, and now the holiday season, like how are you going to go about doing it? I want to be there as your support system together with the rest of the community who are also in this with you. I know a lot of people from my challenges have quit drinking since joining. Many people join month after month just because there keeps being more value added. We actually just yesterday added meditations as well as some different things. So having that community support you in that, it's conversations we've had a lot during our calls as well of how do you go about changing something like that to feel better? But back to my story, I decided to, get in badass shape, which is 6 years ago now. And since then, I have sometimes not drank once in a full year. Sometimes I think maybe up 2 times a year I've had alcohol, not really because I've really wanted to, but when I started dating Alex, like he took me on this Michelin sushi dinner date and we had wine and I got tipsy. Like a couple of times a year, maybe I've done that. But for the most part, I have not drank. And what it has given me, instead of when I have felt low, gone out with friends and drank alcohol and numbed it, it has given me the opportunity, let's call it, to sit with myself and deal with it. And yes, then sometimes if I felt lonely, like I spoke about on my previous episode, I have numbed my emotion by emotional eating or other things, overworked. But it has given me the opportunity to actually sit with my emotions rather than escape them, because we all have are ways of escaping our emotions, numbing our emotions, unless you're fully healed, and you don't, then that's beautiful. That's something that I think we all strive to get to a place where that's the case. But when we're feeling certain emotions, we can numb them by drinking or eating or working or many, many different things we do to numb them, but actually sit with them and connect with them and figure out, what do I actually need in this moment? And me waking up every morning, not having a hungover, has given me more energy and wanting to sit with myself in my journaling practice, in my meditation practice, and asking myself, what is it that I need right now in my life to live in alignment with what it is that I deep down want and desire for my life, and continuously move in that direction. And this podcast is called Challenge Your Norm. So I am here to challenge your norm, to experience different ways of living. And I have found in my life that it's only when I've given something a real try will I be able to see how it impacts me. Sometimes it's like, this is not for me. And other times it's like, wow, this is my new way of life. But if you are someone who's had this urge, your intuition telling you, oh my gosh, if I let go of alcohol for a little bit, I think something good would come from that. If you've had those nudges, maybe you listening to this episode is just your sign to commit to that. And if you're not sure how to go about it, if you, let's say, have wine with your husband or boyfriend every Friday night, or friends, just be honest with them and say, hey, I'm gonna take November without drinking. And you, of course, should continue doing what works for you. But instead, I'm gonna make this mocktail, or I'm gonna have this sparkling water, or I'm gonna, whatever it is that you feel like you would work for you to substitute with. And if someone is negative about it, remind yourself that what you need is more important than someone's judgment on you. I've had so much judgment from everything that I've changed in my life, whether it comes to eating habits, training habits, alcohol not existing anymore in my life, really. And at first, it may feel hard, but the more accepting of ourselves and our decision, and knowing how good it is for us to make the right choices for us, the less it will impact us when other people disagree or judge us for who we are, how we show up. And it is just a constant reminder of my needs, what I need for my life is more important than others' judgment of what that is. And a lot of the time, people will judge you at first, but when they see the changes that it has made in your life, your happiness increasing, elevating, then either they will start to accept or respect you for it, or maybe they won't, but at least they will less make those comments. And their comments and their perception of you has everything to do with everything that's going on inside of their internal world, and so little to do with you and your choices. So stay strong. And if you need support and a community who is with you on that journey, join my November Transformation Challenge, which, if you're new to my podcast, have never listened to a podcast before, and you're just here because you were interested in learning more about how it can impact your life if you don't drink, then I run these challenges every month where I give you a workout program that can be customized to your current fitness level as well as schedule. I give you a nutritional guide and a ton of incredible recipes that I use that are high in protein and just really will help your taste buds and just satiation and satisfaction throughout the journey. I give you a journaling challenge, which is really life-changing. This is the thing that most people share, is the thing that has helped them create a new self-identity, rewired their brain, and question the way that they've been living to then start living in the way that feels so very much more aligned with what they want. Weekly calls, daily chats in the community, just a bunch of value. I'll link it in the description below if you want to join. And I just want to make clear that, once again, there's nothing wrong with drinking alcohol if that's what's aligned with you. I just wanted to share how me not doing that anymore has helped me increase my consistency in both how I show up, how I feel energized, my nutritional habits, because when I was hungover, all I wanted was like McDonald's and pizza and all of that. My excitement for life as a constant, my growth within my business, within my relationships, as in deep relationships, not party relationships. an overall groundedness and strength as a human, because I've not had that same inconsistency in my energy levels. Of course, when you're on your period, like you're hormonal, things like that. And, you go through so many different things in your life. So it's not like it's all sun and rainbows, but the little shifts that we can make to our life really add up and make the massivest difference. Thank you so much for listening to this episode today. I'm so grateful for you. If you haven't subscribed yet and you want to hang out more, please hit that subscribe button. And if you want to share this with a friend who you feel it could be useful for, please do so. And most importantly, remember that you really are in control of your life. You are a grown up that can make your own decisions. And sometimes those decisions are hard, but this is Challenge Your Norm podcast. So we're here to challenge your norm to build the best possible lives for ourselves that we can. And in that way, we're also going to spread more joy with the rest of the world. I hope you go out there and have a beautiful day. And as always, remember that in order for you to grow, you have to challenge your norm. Bye.